Are you more happy today, equally as happy, less happy than you were, I don't know, 15 years ago?
So at this very moment in time, I'm way more happier than I was 15 years ago. Um, but more than happy, I'm much more at peace, right? Because I could
What
find a
does
way to
that
mind screw myself and make myself feel happy, you know.
Yeah, yeah. What does that peace mean? I always hear people say, I'm at peace. I've never felt at peace, Graham. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, yeah. It's a. I'm not going to, I'll just talk for myself and how I
Yeah.
think of peace, because I don't think of being at peace as not being bothered by anything that goes on around me, right? I'm not one who believes that being enlightened means not being bothered, because I'm like, no, there's nothing enlightened about sitting off at the side smiling in the face of social injustices, bullies, and oppressors. I'm sorry, that's not enlightened. Okay. So, and as you can see, right, as you know, like, man, I got plenty of passion and fire, right? And passion and fire is what's needed to create change. So, um, wow, as you started getting me fired up right there. And where's the peace thing, yeah, right. So the peace thing. So what I mean by that, for me, peace means that I'm not trying to change anything about then what with I'm no longer trying to control what's going on around me. I'm not trying to influence change. I'm 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 understanding that I just need to look for how I'm being guided, and things work out.
Oh, that was
And
cool.
so
The
to me, being able to.
camera zoomed in on your face right while you said it. It got like real prolific. I liked it. I don't know if you did that, but that was awesome.
No, I'm definitely not that skilled, man. Are you kidding me? I'm just happy this thing's recording properly.
We hope so.
Right. Yeah. So that's what. Yeah. So literally, that's what it means, right? So look, I get feisty with things. I get fiery, but I'm at peace with, like, okay, that right now that means I'm supposed to be feisty about this because I need to find a solution, right? Like,
Yeah.
when I see people getting treated like shit, I get feisty, but I'm also get frustrated because what do I do about it, right? Well, then I can either choose to shut that down, or I could choose to now do something about it, right? Most of my life, that was in one mode, in my roles, and what my purpose was to do that. Now my purpose is to figure out how to do something about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. You know what, too? You were talking about, AI, um, a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. You know how you feel that the human component, and what was it, putting on your human suit? Was that the
Yeah,
term
the
you
human
used?
suit here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I liked it. I liked it. And you're saying how keeping the human component is important, and I agree. Um, I wasn't sure what your thoughts were, like, on how far you think we can take AI. I know maybe this isn't, like, not exactly in your same realm, but I'm curious.
Oh no, it's
Is,
absolutely in my realm.
is it okay? Okay. So, because that's the new buzzword now. That everyone's talking about, and is it going to overtake humans? Is there going to be jobs for people? How is it going to make people feel? I wanted to get your take on it, and then um, you talked a little bit about entitlement, as well, and I wanted to have a follow up question after that. But I wanted to get your take just in general on where you think AI is going, and how you feel about it.
Yeah. So my so part of my work, right, in order for me to be able to do what I need to do to be able to create changes, like, in today's environment, it does require money. One of the ways of making money is AI. And so some of the information that I was blessed with was how to create different aspects and functions, capabilities, etc., decision making faculties pertaining to AI and the brains within them. Um, and so, but I'm also focused on what the environment, meaning, like, the society is in that, and right, and so I'll talk about this here. I don't know, and upcoming shortly, about EnGen, which is a nonprofit, which is essentially a sub society that I reference here and where the to demonstrate the human potential. And so, right, when you try to introduce something massive, like a massive change like AI into a huge society, the amount of fear, the amount of challenges, the amount of unnecessary carnage is a part of that learning cycle, right? Instead, being able to create it and being able to have use cases in a microcosm, showing how to use, because I also believe, also to clarify that my focus in AI is that it's a complement, right? I believe that humans are capable of creativity and compassion and empathy in a way that will unlock different abilities differently than what, a computer can. And there's absolutely things though that, a computer, AI in, being experts at more than humans, especially in routine things, right? So like in medicine right now, physicians assistants were created to try to help free up time for doctors to spend time with patients that needed more care and time, because there was a lot of routine work. Well, the next evolution in that, right, and it's already happening in different places, right, is being able to leverage AI or technology to be able to, again, things that are, more lab-based or more objective and things like that, to be able to free up times. Now, again, my focus though is to be able to free up the time of the healthcare practitioners so that they're able to spend time being more connected with their patients, to focus on healing at like the cause and root causes versus just the symptomatic. All right, come in if you need a new pill and then move on, right? Like nothing wrong with it, right? But my focus is more on that understanding the different physiologies and everything that goes with that. And it's going to, and there is no doubt that being able to take in a tremendous amount of information and being able to identify, I don't know what I want to call it. I'll just call it patterns. And even though that's, here, I'm going to, Chris, here, you have to remember, edit this part out here. I'm going to back this up a second here. Let's say, the people, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, there's no doubt, the ability that, there's no doubt that when it comes to digging through large amounts of data, that leveraging technology is a huge efficiency, right? But what I get scared of are the humans that are so quick to say, oh, just wait until we can turn over the reins to AI, because AI is going to be smarter than us, right? Like this whole belief that we can somehow make AI smarter, but where's this belief that we can make humans smarter? That's what, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are we so quick to be submissive?
Maybe it's harder to make humans smarter than it is AI.
Well, yeah. And so let's talk about that. So let's think about how, this concept that we're going to try to program something to figure stuff out that we can't yet figure out, and to somehow create reason that's for the highest good of all, that we can't figure out how to do it because we can't figure out how to program it. But we're just going to trust that this is all going to work out. Yeah. So to answer your question, look, I think that there's definitely a bust cycle that will occur, right? I mean, and that's not like some prophetic thing, that's pretty natural. Anytime there's any, evolving thing that, the internet, same thing, right? It came out, there was a bubble, it burst, it popped back, right? So I would expect something like that to happen with AI as well, right? And I think that, I think that what we've seen so far is a lot of very good copywriters. Do I think that these copywriters are worth $12 billion of investment? No, but, I'm also, my approach is also not one of focused on the large language, or the LLMs, whatever they call them. It's more, task specific. Right. That's where I'm more focused on things like, we'll call it Rosie the robot from the Jetsons, right? Having a personal assistant, right? Having a health robot, having a health buddy, right? Or something that, that is able to interact with you based on your life goals, and is there to then, kind of keep you, as a coach or moral support, right? There's all kinds of ways to leverage interaction between technology and humans to allow humans to explore more, be more curious, discover more, right? And so that's my challenge, right? So that's my challenge back, is like, I don't understand why people think that AI is going to be taking jobs. You're not going to get to that spot unless everybody kind of rolls over and says, yeah, we can't think of anything better to do.
Yeah.
Innovation and invention is gone. We're right. Like, if you free up humans, no, the idea is free up humans to do more invention, right? And innovation that actually creates value for everybody. Doesn't not just change a fucking port and and bring in revenue because everyone's got to buy new chargers. There's not a whole lot of value being created.
And the way you explain it, hey, look, imagine having a workout buddy or an assistant or someone at home, and someone who understands 5th grade math. That would help me out a lot right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great.
You could program somebody who's going to get you better than you.
Right. That's true. It's true. Now, I don't know if with having sex with a robot, would that be cheating, Graham? I need your opinion on that. I don't know.
Well, that depends. Is it Rachel's robot or is it somebody else's robot?
I'm already digging a hole right now. Yeah, it's.
I'm willing to let you go down whatever path and play, go down this crazy train with you if you want to.
Oh God, I am curious. This is my thought, but like, I know you weren't very religious when I knew you. Are you any more religious now, or same? You're kind of in the same part there.
No, I don't get me wrong. I mean, I look and read through and respect that there's something to be learned from all, like, from generally speaking, there's something to be taken from all, religions. And believe me, and based on my thing, I would tell you that if people spend more time understanding how each various religion or philosophy or belief system actually filled in the blank or, a missing part for somebody else's, people, and they complemented each other, right? There, we would be a lot further along in our evolution. That's for sure. Well, but yeah, no, I do not consider myself a religious person whatsoever.
Well, and this is kind of good. I want to ask you this question, because oftentimes this question comes down to some sort of religious belief, and I don't know how much time you spend thinking about it. I spend an inordinate amount of time thinking about it where I probably shouldn't. But what happens when you die? What happens when you die? Like, what do you think? Do you live your life based upon something else that happens to you when you die? Me, and I hope I'm wrong. I totally hope I'm wrong. I think that as people, we have such entitlement to think that we become something else, and we go to this great spot, and it's like, we get to see our relatives and do all these things. Like, I kind of like on the Stephen Hawking approach, where it's like, okay, yep, when a computer dies, it's dead. Like, it doesn't turn back on. Like, I think when you die, you're just gone, And so, like, because we haven't heard from, like, science always points to different things on different planets and how life got started and all these different things, but like, there's not really anyone that's come back that said, "Oh yeah, this is pretty awesome," and scientists, pointing out where heaven is. I was just wondering what your take is on it.
Well, trying to use science to explain a spiritual thing in itself is a challenge, right? That is, I mean, that's the nature of science, is try to help to do that. But right. So I definitely have a very different perspective on life and death than what I did, prior to this, for sure. And look, it doesn't involve, like what you talked about. It's more like, did you ever watch the Good Life?
No.
I think it's The Good Life or The Good Place, whatever it is. Anyway, that's just just a good one to use as an example. So no, look, my understanding is more about like a little bit more of a choose your own adventure learning game, where you've kind of got yourself here, who is just a player that you're just learning through, and then you've got your consciousness, your higher self, right? And so it's essentially you incarnate. You either decide that you use your free will to figure out how to follow your path or what you wanted to achieve and do enough, or you don't, right? I'm way oversimplifying things, right? But essentially it's kind of like, yeah, I form my hypotheses, right? If I was taller, if I was stronger, if I was blonde, if I was big muscles, all these other things, right? Then this, that, and the other would be better for me in my life, right? And so then, okay, so you form your hypothesis, now incarnate. All right, well, I figured that, well, it didn't work out the way that I thought it would. Okay, well then why do you think that was? Let's figure out another one. Okay, it. All right.
Oh, so you think you like reincarnate as like another person?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, and then and you're trying to figure as you're continuing to learn about yourself. And now when and so this is why, you can't go back and be with like one group of people, because your total let's just say that you incarnated 10 times. All right. So that means you got 10 different families.
Yeah.
How are you going to keep, number one, how are you going to keep track of that? Number two, you can drive yourself nuts and psycho, right? There's no value. Right? There's no value in reincarnating and remembering yourself as having 10 wives, 10 sets of children, 10, you know what I mean? You'd be like, what am I'm cheating on everybody all the time. You never do that, right? It'd be crazy. But instead what you do remember is the lessons that you learned, right? Like, for example, everyone's got their own moral compass. Right? Like, you don't beat, rob, and steal and murder people because you choose not to, not because you're worried about the consequences, right? I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt here, but right. Yeah. Right. And so, but how did you get to those places, right? How did you get to the point where you don't feel like not to retaliate, because you don't do it not because of that, but because you don't like how it makes you feel. So you make that choice for yourself, right? Like there's these things that are about you that you can't explain why are you that way. Well, no, it's because you figured the stuff out all these times along the way. Right. And so that's what you're born with. And in many cases you're given, and so look, and that also means incarnating to do, I don't even want to call it what people would call, crappy stuff to learn, right? Like, how do you get to the point to know that fighting isn't the answer? Well, incarnate one time and fight everybody, win, kick everybody's butt. And then on your deathbed, figure, did you really feel better? Did you really solve what you wanted to? Right. And so then you take it back and you go, well, that didn't work. Okay. So what am I missing? And eventually, right, you're peeling back what I would describe to people as, well, along the journey of learning, you're learning along the way. But eventually at some point in time, right, then you're trying to, get to a spot where you want to be able to download or connect, with less filters between your this self and your total self, right? To tap into more of that wisdom and knowledge and abilities and things like that, right? And so that's like a whole nother discussion. But yeah, so there's certain things that I've done to, right? And so like, that's a lot of where you see the differences in me when I talk about removing those filters and stuff, right? Like, yeah, you saw, what I was, kind of what I came wired to understand how to do, and until it was time for me to do something different. Right. And then I needed to learn how to do that and unlock all these different aspects of myself. And then as a result of things like, I don't know what to say, but like, I just wake up differently each day and have a different opinion about stuff. Right. Like I just now, and so there's a certain karma thing, right? Like my understanding of things as well is like as part of that learning process, like you have to be able to be given the grace to do that crappy stuff. Right. And that's also why then giving grace to other people doing that stuff, that doesn't mean you accept and you tolerate and let people hit each other. No, what I'm saying is you understand that person's trying to work something out. So let's have a conversation with them to see if we can help them work it out in a way that doesn't involve their fists. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I generally lose when it comes to fists.
Yeah.
Fist fighting. I don't think I've been in a few fist fights. I've never won any, Graham. So yeah, that's I'm 0-7, like my fantasy team is right now too. It's terrible. No, it's interesting how you think about that. And you're almost living one life to learn, to do better in the next. I hope you're right. But I hope there's some sort of remembrance of the past. Gosh, almost feels like it'd be a waste. I don't know.
Well, it depends. There is look, there's definitely things about different, things I remember, and other people will definitely talk about how they remember vividly certain parts of their, lives.
Yeah.
A lot of it depends on, do you need to know it for what you're trying to do in this lifetime? You know what I mean? That's what a lot of it has to do with. It's not so much like it's a universal on-off switch so much as how relevant is it to you to where you're trying to do or figure out.
You think that's the same for all living things or just people?
No, absolutely, all living things. All live. I absolutely am and that's one of the things I'm trying to get that point across, is that all living things are conscious, sentient beings, with decision-making faculties that all create different value to the collective consciousness that is here, that is all of us, and there's all of the various different collective consciousness, right? And so, and now, does it mean but different things have different purposes, and so it's about not applying the same purpose to everything, right? Because if you do, then stuff's not going to make sense. But if you respect the reason why things exist, then you respect the differences. So yeah, then that's why you see different. Look, animals. I look at animals have their personalities. Animals demonstrate compassion. Animals demonstrate memory. And right now, why are some breeds of dogs, seem to be a little bit more intelligent or headstrong or able to learn than others, right? No, they've got their stages of evolution too, right? And they're different breeds, right? Their different breeds have, kind of, and reflect that as well. So when they're like, okay, what do I want to learn, and experience? Well, you know what? Being that big dog then that everybody tried to screw with, that wasn't a lot of fun for me. So let me just go be like one of these little cute. Let me just go be one of these little cute little dogs and sit on somebody's lap. All right, that's what I want to do. So find me a human person to take care of me, where I could just be the lap dog, and so there's absolutely all of those kinds of things and evolving, and as they are understanding their, right, like in dogs are understanding the value in love and unconditional love, and also us helping to understand love and unconditional love from them, right? And so I can go on and on. Yeah, that was it. Look, as you know, like these are a lot of these emotions or connections that I had shut off, right? Because I do feel very richly and deeply, and until I knew how to understand it, it was definitely overwhelming.
I feel like one time we should do a podcast from a more spiritual, with those what was it, those mushrooms you said? Going back there.
Oh, geez.
And a couple drinks or something like that, and let's see what happens. I better just make sure there's no drug testing at work before, because that could be bad.
Well, I've seen things on the internet, and the law of when I apply the law of probabilities and the magic 8 ball, they both shake out to say chance of anything good happening from that, not freaking likely.
But you know what? It'll seem like we got gold, Graham. Like the whole time we'll be like, this is the best one ever. The ratings are going to be off the hook. We'll go back and listen to it and realize it's like you can't understand a word. But man, in that moment, William will say, life can't get any better. That's what we'll say. Sometimes you just need to feel it, even if it's not accurate.
There is something to be said for fake it till you make it. Let me tell you.
Yep. Hey, look, I've been at the table. You talked about gambling. I've been at the table. You got a 16 and you got some decent money out there, and dealer showing a 10, and you hit that 5, and man, that moment in time, life. I mean, you can't get any better. Reversely, it sucks when they're showing a 6 and you double down, and they somehow pull a 21. It's like life can't get any worse. But that array of emotions is awesome. I don't know if you ever thought about doing a podcast in person, but man, that would be I'd be down. I'd be down. I got the sweatpants on now. I have to change my pants, but other than that, it would be good.
Oh, well, you never know. Who knows? Yeah.
It's fun, but man, I see the as I've listened to more of the podcasts, and stuff, I see the difference, and I see the growth, and I'm happy you're happy. A lot of my happiness now comes from when I see my friends and family and loved ones be happy, and reversely, the times I feel the worst are when those same people are, feel bad. It's changed a lot for me, as we've grown up, and I feel like we always go through stages in life, Graham, and some people are in stages for longer periods or shorter periods or what have you. There's no right or wrong, but I definitely see this as as a different stage for you, and to hear that you are in a great place and happy, that's all I can ask for. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And as this, kind of winding down here, like, as you know, we didn't share and exchange questions. I didn't know what was going to be discussed, and one of the things that this allowed us to do too is to, anytime anybody is going through changes in themselves, but there's always a concern about, how are they going to be accepted? What will people think, et cetera? So I think anybody paying attention knows that it's obvious that, right, that you and I have a deep connection and relationship. And for me to break out somebody new, right, but that runs the risk, right, of alienating somebody that, that I'd consider close, right, which then, is a form of rejection, which, right, doesn't feel good, right? It never feels good to be rejected by somebody close, right? But on the other hand, instead, what we were able to display, what you were able to display was how, right, like, generally speaking, people are happy for other people, right? People want to see people happy. And also the other thing that you pointed out too is how much that other people have already saw the stuff in you that you didn't give yourself credit for. So some of the things that you think are new aren't necessarily so new to others, right?
That's true.
And that was and that was something that, with the reflection in our first interview that that really became apparent to me, right, was just, how much of my own worst enemy I was compared to, even the stuff that others saw, right? And that I just didn't allow myself to see.
Graham, but you know how many times I was on your team working with you, that I said that things can't get better than this. Like, there were so many great moments I had, so many. And, we talked about some of them on the last podcast, and, there's other ones that probably just aren't coming to light right now, but so many times where I just felt so good. For me, most of those weren't financial, wins. But it was, the small little things that I was able to see, in you, or that you showed to me, that made me think, wow, this is awesome. Like, this is great. And so, during the times where there's self-doubt and stuff like that, and you brought this up earlier, you always had the right mindset when it came to, looking out for people. And, I think that was always apparent, and always saw that in you. So when I say, hey, look, things sometimes haven't changed that much, it's because those are the things that were so important to me that you still have now, some of those other things weren't as important to me, then. And, it was great. It was great, man. There were so many great times, man. Having you at my wedding, was honestly, was like one of the highlights, man, because it was a highlight for me personally, and the fact that that you came and I saw you as I walked down the aisle on the right over there. Like, I remember exactly where you were. I remember looking out for you, like, to make sure you were there, that you could share in this moment with me. Like, how easy would it have been for you to say, oh no, I got something else going on, or I can't go, or whatever like that. Like, but you made it a point to come. It was great, man. And so to be able to look back and, in some of my fondest moments and say, oh my gosh, Graham was a part of that. Like, that's cool. You don't know those moments. You don't know how special those moments were at the time, but I do, and there's others that feel the same way too. So, cool.
It's funny you say that. That's one of the things that's really become apparent, is, about not giving ourselves credit, right? It was just how some of those positive memories that people shared, right? Dan Saitaki still makes his comment, it cracks me up still. He said Graham was always like one of the most helpful and thoughtful sales leaders. And then it says something like however, or something about like this new, kinder, gentler side is very compelling. And then even you, I don't even know if you caught it, but I was cracking up all the time in the last interview. You kept saying, even for you, like, this was even for you.
I think Dan Saitaki pulled that from a Quilted Northern commercial, the softer side. He's used a toilet paper commercial to describe you.
Yeah. But
Uh,
that's right. But I think, but part of this change is part of this story, right? And
yeah,
like part of this this next chapter that I'll be, talking about here shortly, in talking about my purpose and what I understand that to be, et cetera. But yeah, it's definitely, I think I don't know. I think the world's. I think we're ready for for some new perspectives and some new sets of choices. I think we're
I
looking.
agree.
I think we're, and I think we're ready to. I think people are starting to get ready to be tired of those that want to burn the bridges and are starting to
Yeah,
appreciate those that are willing to spend their time building them. And instead of
yeah,
looking at that as weak or instead of recognizing the strength that it actually takes to be patient and kind and loving to build those bridges while you're watching everybody else continue to blow them up or,
yeah.
et cetera, but there's a world full of, look, man, there's one of the things I've been pleasantly surprised about too, is just, there's a world, I was at Nader, right? Nader's like, man, I come when I meet people are good people. The only people that seem to talk about the negative people is the media. And I was like, it's a great point, right? Like, when I think about what I hear or read compared to what I experience, two very different things, And so it's, again, also a matter of, what we focus on. And so that's like a hard thing for me too, right? As I'm sitting here thinking about, I'm absolutely challenging the status quo in some different areas. And those are definitely certainly some scary, situations that I'll, and points that I'll be, stepping into, but, it's even scarier to think about stuff, staying the same or getting worse.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, if and for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm an opinionated individual. If I'm not willing to do something, then for me, myself, I have to silence myself. And I'm not really into being silent anymore. So I'm going to, start figuring out how to start doing. So
It's great. It's great.
Anyway. Yeah. And so man, so I can't thank you enough for, spending the extra time to do this, and the listeners. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are able to see like how people will embrace and appreciate and you. And I will say that, there's definitely some people that are not as close to me as they were when I started this journey, that are kind of like, I'm not so sure about some of this stuff. Right. But that's where they're at. This is where I'm at. Maybe we'll cross paths again. Maybe we won't, but more than, however that works out, it works out. They've got their things, and, but more than not, like you said, you think about things, right? And I've been so surprised at how many other people have things on their mind that they just don't share because they don't think anybody else is thinking it, or they're talking it, or they don't feel it, right. And then when they hear it, all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, you too. Right. And so as I've talked more about stuff or been more open, I can't tell you how many of especially my male friends, which I've really been pleasantly surprised. I was so happy to be wrong about this. Right. I was waiting to get lambasted by all my buddies. And it's been very much the opposite. So happy to be wrong. Right. And people just want to talk about stuff, right? Trying to figure stuff out. Cause they're like, like, hey man, like none of us want to feel like crap. We're all like feeling like we're trying to do what the doctors tell us to do, what the schools told us to do, but like something ain't working. Right. And I'm not sitting there, and I'm not saying that those things aren't productive, but I'm saying that there's a lot of people going, okay, there's still something I'm missing for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that goes into what you were talking about with the masculinity and what's masculine, what isn't, and who the hell knows?
Yeah,
who cares?
Yeah, and that's like, well, here's why that does care. It's funny, I came up in a conversation with Ruby last night, and then we'll wrap this up. It was like, think about the masculine. A simple way to think about masculine and feminine energy is like, you want the masculine is going to be more focused on specific goals and outcomes, right? And the feminine is going to be much more focused on the experience and the journey along the way. Well, and so each person needs to have both, because if all you're focused on is the journey with no outcome in mind, well, you're going to limit your learnings. You're going to be all over the place. It's going to be unproductive compared to as good as it could be if the learnings along the journey were purposeful and thoughtful, right? Yeah. Likewise, right? If all you focus on is the outcome and you get there, okay, great, you got there, but compared to the opportunity of learning that was available, it was a loss.
Yeah. Well, and how do you grow? Like, you get to a certain point, you can't continue that growth without that. No,
Yeah. And so that's where, you know, so I spend most of my time understanding just outcome, and not appreciating the journey and stepping into that feminine energy whatsoever. Right. And so that's really where I've spent a lot of time in understanding that and stepping into that and spending a lot more time appreciating the journey, understanding the journey, understanding, you know, I think that's been a very challenging one for me, but, you know, to get through and to learn and rewiring. But before I go down a rabbit hole here, I'm going to wrap up this episode here, just again, by thanking you, Todd, thanking people for listening, thanking those that are going to be kind and receptive to those that are listening, or those that even aren't listening, that put themselves out there and then are received by others. Right. So we start doing that, you know, we start making our way, you know, into positive change. And now I got to put on my glasses here so I can see things before we end this. Todd, is there anything you want to, you know, leave everybody with?
Well, I know I sent you over my rider before, you know, this, and, you know, I got to tell you, the care package that you sent me, there were a few things that, you know, were not correct in it. So, you know, you're going to need to get that fixed up before I do another episode. And we didn't talk about royalties. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but, you know, maybe something we can take off air.
I thought you still aren't getting I'll have to renew the Jelly of the Month Club for you. No problem. I got you.
Yeah, maybe a gummy bears. Oh God. No, but man, it's been awesome. I really enjoy you know, doing these things. And you know, hey, look, just too, I mean, between you and I mean, we can chat on the phone too. You know, we don't have to have a podcast to get together either. So
oh, by the way, I'm glad you said that, because yeah, you're right. Now that this is done, you and I can hang out, because I really I wanted this to truly be a discovery, you know, and unbiased in our conversations. And now those are done. Yeah, man, let's get together, you know, whether it be lunch, dinner, coffee, whatever. So what's on the record that we're all agreeing to it. So I'm going to, I'll text you on the side and we'll follow that up. So
that sounds great.
Awesome. So everybody listening, thank you guys so much for sticking with us. Have yourself a great, fantastic week, and give yourself a little grace. Take care.